Good morning, Scott Center, Bayside, Blue Oaks. Hey, I want to talk to you this morning about something I think is very vital, how you live life. It's how to keep the right perspective. It's all about perspective. That's key. I love this quote from this picture, and it's got this little girl on there. Sometimes you need to look at things from a different perspective. I don't know about you, but have you ever felt that way? I have. I know I felt that way before. Well, back in the New Testament, the writer of Hebrews was writing to the Christ followers of that day, and he was trying to help them maintain a perspective that would help them through the struggles of life that they had. When the writer was writing, the Christ followers of that day were under heavy persecution and discrimination, and so he's trying to keep their perspective, and this is what he writes. He says, "You suffered along with those in prison and joyfully accepted the confiscation of your property because you knew that you yourselves had better and lasting possessions." Now, I love this passage because Christ followers during that time were subjected to fines and forfeitures of their wealth and property simply because of their faith. But they accepted it joyfully because they understood that there were better things ahead of them. They understood through the teachings of Christ that heaven was ahead of them, and being with Jesus in eternity was ahead of them, and living under godly justice someday was ahead for them. There were no aches or pains ahead for them. There were no struggles or storms of life ahead for them. There was no relational conflict. There was no inner torment from our own dysfunctions. That was all ahead for them. And so Christ followers had this clear perspective that there were far better things ahead than anything they were going to leave behind. So it helped them live through some very difficult times of life. Here's the problem with you and me. The problem with you and me is when our perspective gets distorted. And you know when that happens? It's when we allow legitimate concern to turn into illegitimate worry. Now, here's the thing. We ought to be legitimately concerned about things. We should be legitimately concerned about COVID or the tensions in our country or our finances or our marriage, our kids, our schools, our church. Why? Because legitimate concern helps us think about what needs to happen, get wisdom on what actions we need to take and overcome it or fix it. The problem is not legitimate concern. It's when legitimate concerns turns into illegitimate worry. That is when we start losing our perspective because it's all consuming to us. And people who are overwhelmed with worry, they don't make good decisions. They have a tendency to be paralyzed from taking any action. They're easily depressed. They tend to be negative. They don't sleep well. They have little joy and have great difficulty experiencing the presence of God. You see, when you lose your perspective, you lose your peace. So what did Jesus say? Jesus said, don't worry about your life. Why did he say that? He says, I've got it here. I'm going to meet all your needs. I take care of the birds. I take care of everything. I meet all your needs. So I'm going to take care of you. I will take care of your needs now, and I will give you the strength and the focus to carry you all the way to heaven with me. And that's the thing that we have to remember when we're going through life struggles here, is we have to remember that life is temporary. And when life seems overwhelming, we have to remember the promises of God to meet our needs now and the promises that we have that lie ahead of us. That's why Paul said, set your minds on things above, not earthly things. I love this story about Charlton Heston, and it's back in a classic movie called Ben-Hur. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, but maybe us older generation has, but the younger generation, you need to watch it because it's a great movie. But many years ago, Charlton Heston had to learn how to drive a chariot for the 4 horses race that they had in the movie. And the chariot with 4 horses were racing against other chariots, and it was like a pinnacle part of the movie. And Charlton Heston said this to the interviewer. He said, after many weeks of the chariot lessons, he told the director, I think I can drive the chariot all right, but I'm not sure at all I can actually win the race. The director responded to Charlton Heston. He said, you stay in the race and I'll make sure you win. See, this is the perspective that Christ wants us to have, is to stay focused on him, on what lies ahead, because he's going to take care of our needs now, but he's also got something waiting for us in the future. So here's my challenge today. Whatever comes your way, whatever wants to come and turn your legitimate concern into illegitimate worry, you go back to what Paul said, and he said, set your mind on things above, not earthly things. And you watch how your perspective, that right perspective, will give you peace and move you through each and every obstacle that you have to face today. God bless you. Have a great day.